Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well it works, if at all.
It probably doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm a firm.
You got to hear the clicks out there. Everybody clicking in and click, 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 click.
Right. I mean, I'm a firm believer that nothing really works. Nah, nothing going on.
No,
they don't make them
they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah. Why should they? Ba-ding!
Ding.
Ba-ding! Yes. Yeah, there was a period of time. Do I want do let's just David, let's just start the fucking show.
Let's get on with it.
Let's just fucking do this shit. No more shenanigans. No more tomfoolery, if you will.
Skullduggery.
Yes, skullduggery. It's a good one. Let's do this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special Down the Rabbit Hole, episode 8. Faith healers, charlatans, and blind belief. The things that destroy a man from the inside out. It starts with psychic surgery. It ends with getting cocaine blown up your ass. Oh, wait. That's a completely different story.
That was Saturday.
Yeah, I David and I have been trying to put this one together for a little bit, and it kind of morphed slowly over time into something else. At first, I was like, dude, we can get rid of that fucking music now, right? Yeah. It can go away, right, David?
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we don't need it now. I wanted to do something on the flat earth because we'd done a few things on the Fortean slip, and I'd had Mick West on, who was a great guest.
Yeah, I did listen to that show, and that was a great show. You should put that in the description down below so people can click back on that one.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'll put that one in there. He was an absolutely great guest. I could not believe we got him. So David had talked to me about watching Behind the Curve on Netflix, and I had been eyeing this documentary for a while. I'd just been eyeballing it, and I'm like, but it looked very pro flat Earth when I was looking at it, and I don't have a problem with that. I'll watch a documentary for any number of reasons, but when you had mentioned it to me, you were like, "Oh no, nay."
No, you can't. There's so much there. There are no spoilers, but I was just like, just watch it. Just fucking watch it, man.
Yeah, and I did. And the cool thing was, I watched it with my son. I convinced my son to sit down and watch it with me. We watch all kinds of shit together, and but not documentaries, not like shit like this. So we sat down and watched this thing, and it was a hoot. Like, because for one, my son at one point, he's like, "These people like really believe this?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do." And it became a running gag between the two of us that that the flat earthers should adopt the belief system of the Nazis, and that they need to create a flat earth master race. I think that's the only way they can go on. I'll get into that, my reasons for that later. But yeah, so David, gets me to watch this fucking documentary, which sends me for a fucking tailspin.
Yeah, it's
Like,
so good. It plays out like a mockumentary, like Best in Show or This Is Spinal Tap or something like that. It plays out like that, but it's
in
real.
a way, yeah, I agree with you. It's because at first it seems like it's very pro flat Earth. Like when they start that documentary in the very beginning, like they go into that Mark Sargent guy.
Yeah.
And they're like following him and they're talking to him and then it's only when they do that turn when they start talking to the astrophysicist from Caltech where you're like, okay.
I got it.
All right. I'm with you. So, but yeah, so you told me to watch this damn thing. I did, and then I convinced you to watch An Honest Liar because I thought if we were going to go down this road of people who blindly believe in things, that uh, we had to go down the road of faith healers, psychics, um, and all of that bullshit that gets sort of like spoon fed to us these days with a lot of it.
Oh, there's a lot out of there, and some of it's harmless and some of it's not.
Yeah, that's
Um,
very, very true. And
and
we
they made a really great distinction in An Honest Liar, where being a liar and fooling people with magic is that's harmless and it's fun and it's entertainment. But when people thought that he could predict the future, he realized that it was
that
no
was a problem.
that was a problem. Now this is no longer fun. It's no longer like it becomes something else at that point when people
Yeah.
are waiting for you to say something so that they can react to it.
Yeah. So, w the whole flat earth thing, which has taken over, like, it's gotten to a point now, like, it's changed, like, the whole things with YouTube now. God knows I'll probably get freaking flagged for this fucking video. Um, as I actually even tried to change up that's kinda why the title is what it is, because I don't want YouTube to nail me for having flat earth in the title.
Yeah.
I'll be totally honest about that, like, right out the fucking gate, people. Like, I just it's a very sore subject, like, some of these things, some of these topics with YouTube, it's crazy. But I wanted to definitely talk about it because 'cause I'd watched this Behind the Fucking Curve and this Mark Sargent and these people, and I have come to a conclusion. Excuse me. I've come to a solid conclusion, and that is that flat earthers will shoot themselves in the foot until there is nothing but a stump left.
Yeah. So what I got out of that, and then I watched a few videos, getting ready for this over the course of weeks, whatever. Forgotten most of it, but it takes like a supposition, like I imagine the Earth to be flat, and then they look for reasons why it could be flat. So they give you that information. This is why the Earth could be flat, and
Right.
then you immediately get to three things that well no this is this is how this is, so it can't be that way. It's so easy to poke holes and debunk, but it doesn't matter. It's such a hard line belief, and it's something. I think that the flat earth thing is 100% like that's fine. No, is there nobody's hurting anybody with the flat earth thing, but it's scary how many people will go into this. There's a lot of celebrities. I don't know, like I think Cardi B is the only one that I can remember off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, there's a bunch of celebrities and a bunch of it's a growing group of people, and that's kind of frightening.
Yeah, and that it is a problem. If you ask me, it's a problem. This, I was working a part-time job at one point, and one of the girls there at the place where I was working had come in, and she's like, "Have you seen this thing about the crisis actors? They're everywhere." And I'm like, No, no,
Like, no, no,
no,
no, no.
no." And it's this blind belief. I saw it on YouTube or I saw it on Facebook, and they just go with it. And some of these people are so just completely oblivious that it's not even funny.
No, and they can get
They just
fed
they
the
just
whole thing.
they're so obliviously ignorant. What's that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it baffles me, like these younger people that they see these things and oh, I saw a video on YouTube that explained it all.
Yeah, and that's the problem. There's so many people who mean well, and they watch bias confirming, media, whether it could be like, super liberal or super conservative, media outlets that aren't, and I'm not talking about the major media, like, fake. I'm talking about like actual fake news. I'm talking about people who have a green room in their basement, and they're trying to look like they're legitimate news sources when they're not, and they're editorializing and making stuff up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's scary that so many people like, well, what the fuck did I do? I'm like, okay, I want to find out exactly a few of the key points of the flat Earth. So what do? I went to YouTube and I watched some fucking videos. Like I can't say that
No,
I'm.
absolutely. There's and listen, no, listen. I did a show, the Fortean slip the other night, and I did the Betty and Barney Hill abduction.
Mhm.
I went on YouTube. I watched a couple of documentaries on the abduction, the phenomenon, whatever, and I also watched. Also happened to be on YouTube, an old James Earl Jones movie about the abduction, like the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. You can find interesting things on YouTube. You can also find a lot of bullshit on
Well,
YouTube.
yeah, and if for some reason this was like, a serious topic, and for some reason the audience here would be, people that would be affected by that, and that don't understand that we're both complete assholes and jackasses and don't know anything. But I wouldn't just go to YouTube and just say, oh, well, that's it, that's the be all end all.
Right, and no, and neither would I. I like to know because I've run into a lot of things like this before, i.e. John Teeter, uh, things of that nature. I've come across these types of things. Excuse me, that people fall down these little rabbit holes, to coin the phrase, and don't ever come out. And that's the thing
Yeah,
with flat earthers. They go down this thing, and most of these people never come out.
and we'll get into this. Like, I kind of do want to go over just the list, because we could talk about all the problems. But what ends up is that they're in constant distress, trying to defend this belief, and constant distress of just walking around the world and being in a world that they think that everything about it and everybody else's mind is wrong. And I don't know, but it's crazy. But social media, and YouTube is social media, is it's a new tool to get this stuff out there. There've been cults and there've been other things like that, but it's not on the grand scale of, you know, all around the globe, if you will.
Yeah. There's actually I'll and I'll get into it before we get into the other stuff, but I actually grabbed a news story for tonight, um, that has to do with cults. So interesting little side note there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this whole flat Earth thing, this whole phenomenon that's been happening, you know, I, I don't understand it, and I don't understand why people have this desire to believe in this thing. Like I don't. I've gotten to a point now where I don't know if it's that they need to believe in this thing, or if they need this community of people because they fit in.
Well, the gentleman in the Behind the Curve movie talked about how he had subscribed to all the other conspiracy theories, and they didn't really pan out, and he's been doing this for forever and ever and ever, and then he found flat Earth, and that was it. That was his calling.
Right.
But he already had that propensity for conspiracy theory, and that it's the same. In my opinion, it's the same sort of thing why people and I don't know if there's a correlation between people who aren't faithful in God, but like the same thing that you need something that's bigger than yourself, or something that's unthinkable almost. And yeah, I truly believe that, and that's
Do you think that's part of the human condition, though?
yeah, I think it is. And if you're missing, you don't even have to be missing something. Is it, you just need something more. You go and look for something more, and something more might be something that's maybe not real.
Yeah. Yeah. I strive for things that aren't real all the fucking time.
Reality's boring.
Unreality. Give me unreality. Well, waiter, could you just slice me off some of that unreality? I'd like to have some of that, please.
When you slice the unreality, it makes you cry. Onion, I fucking
But the flat Earth thing, it's one of those phenomenon that's taken over so quickly and so fervently. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Well, I actually found what possibly is the beginning, like the first kickoff of the theory. And I didn't really get the guy's name correctly.
His name was
Samuel
Club.
Yeah, Samuel Burley Arothaba or something like that. And he did the Bedford level experiment, where he took there was a very long straight river. He took a telescope and had a brother, a friend, somebody travel away from him, and he did some calculations that 6 miles down that river he should go below the horizon if the Earth was round. Yeah. And of course he did not, because of course you can see much farther than 6 miles. I mean, I'm driving down, I-5, like north of Seattle, and I can on a clear day see the Olympic Mountains that are fucking 50, 60 miles away.
Yeah, and people tend to forget that, like, you have to be at the same level.
Yeah, well,
for these ideas to work, and the Earth is bumpy.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean,
as round.
I applaud them for using I applaud them for using a river, at least water of some sort. But rivers do travel downhill. But that's beside the point. But so he publishes a book, Earth, Not a Globe, and he publishes it under the name Parallax, which is the guy, right? Everybody talks about Parallax as the father of this. And so yeah, they redraw the globe, with Antarctica being the ice shelf that holds all the water in.
The Game of Thrones.
Yeah, if you look at it, the Arctic is just like hardly visible.
Oh, that's where the White Walkers are coming through. Yeah. They're coming through, David. Listen, I've got some obsidian lying around. I don't know about you, buddy.
But yeah, I picked some of my favorite, like, how do you get around seasons? Well, the Earth, the sun revolves around the Earth. And the sun is directly above the flat Earth. And think of yourself holding a spoon and mixing like cookie dough in a bowl, right? The sun travels around the top of the Earth like this. And as it moves closer and farther away, creates seasons, and inwards and outwards creates seasons, which is all fine and good. But when you talk about the sun traveling around the Earth from like North America to South America, all of a sudden it's traveling very fast because there's a very small orbit. And then when you're at South America, there's a very wide orbit because it's a fucking disk now. So days and nights change all the time in this sort of scenario. Anyway, I'm picking it apart now. But also, I don't know if you knew this, Chris, but gravity is a hoax.
But oh yes, I've been told.
Yes. The tidal shifts are actually not due to the sun. There's a giant magnet under the Earth that moves the
Oh,
water around.
oh.
Yeah.
The moon has nothing to do with that, huh?
No. Yeah. Moon, sun. No, nothing. Because the sun's actually much closer than it is in real life. And yeah, we don't fall off the Earth or fly off the Earth because the Earth and the moon and the sun are all shooting upwards. And so our upward momentum is holding us to the ground, not gravity.
Oh,
which is cool.
Our upward momentum. Interesting.
Yeah, and all those pictures from space, that's part of a NASA conspiracy that goes back to like the moon landing.
Oh yes, no, I've
So
heard.
so you can't look at any of that. It's all doctored, because they had Photoshop in the 50s.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. And here's the thing. One of the things that got me, this Mark Sargent guy. He was like the he was the kind of like the poster boy for this fucking Behind the Curve. Him and his little fucking romantic thing with the redheaded fucking femme fatale of the fucking flat Earth community.
Yeah, but he got friend zoned really hard.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. That's what living with your mom will do, motherfucker. So yeah, and he said, like, they want you to believe that you're on a globe, you're on like a marble, and you're spinning around and you're traveling around the sun, and that solar system's traveling through sideways through a galaxy at this speed, and you're not gonna feel a thing. And I'm like, motherfucker, have you ever driven a car? Like, unless the fucking universe comes to a sudden stop, you're not gonna feel it, dickhead.
Yeah, or somebody gets behind and starts pushing, or the turbocharge.
I'm
button.
just like, I was like, how fucking numb can you be? Okay, and then the thing that I talked with Matt about earlier, the gyroscope experiments. The first time that they shot themselves in the fucking foot, they're like, oh yeah, so if the Earth is a globe and it spins, then we should be able to put a gyroscope anywhere on the Earth. And if the Earth is rotating, we will notice. And they give us precise fucking number, David. They say we should see a 15-degree shift in the gyroscope. So they're like, but we need a precise gyroscope. Well, voila, they get a fucking gyroscope of the magnitude that they need bought for them. They go out, they do the experiment. And lo and behold, there's a 15 fucking degree drift. Their response, well, we don't understand it. But we're gonna try to do the experiment again. But this time, now I think I'm remembering this correct, and I just watched it today too. But I've got a lot in my head right now. Did they put it in like liquid inside like a container or something?
I don't remember that one clearly.
Okay,
it's been a couple months for me.
And anywho, they put it in some type of container. They're like, this time we should shield it from the sky, because their assumption was that the gyroscope was picking up the movement of the sky. Yeah. Yes. No.
Because
you are right to fucking laugh. Take some fucking time for that one, David.
because the sky moves. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So they do the experiment again, this time under these new controlled conditions, and lo and behold, they come up with a 15 fucking degree drift. So I believe they did it a third time, still a 15 fucking degree drift, and they're still trying. They're doing what you and I were talking about, where they are coming to their conclusion and then working their way backwards. They're not doing real science.
No, they're trying to come up with numbers that
work.
That confirm their beliefs.
Yeah. So now they're new, which they did not say that was done on the Behind the Curve documentary. but they intend to encase the gyroscope in bismuth and try the experiment again.
Because why the fuck not?
Yeah, because why? Why not? The other thing that got me on that one on the documentary was the fact that they wanted to go to see the solar eclipse, and that Mark Sargent again. They couldn't. They didn't want to be bothered to go to the place where you could see it the most fully. So they said, but we'll go here, and this will be just fine. All right. Well, you're trying to prove a point. So I think you'd want to be in the proper place for it. But anyway, whatever the case may be. When asked what he thought it looked like, because they had to be there, this is so, this is going to be groundbreaking for their, the flat earthers, because he's out there trying to conform them. He's like, yeah, there's one thing I love that he said this. He said, we're just trying to put the seeds in their heads. And I was like, yeah, you fucking prick. And
Yeah, you are.
You fucking dirty bastard. But yeah, so when asked like what his love interest there, the one that friend zoned him,
Yeah.
Patricia Steele or Steer, is it Steer or Steele or whatever the fuck her fucking name is? She had asked him afterwards, well, what did it look like? And he said, well, there seemed to be no three-dimensional quality to the moon, and it just seemed like something was drawn over the sun, like it was shut out itself. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, really. It looked like the moon in front of the fucking sun. That's what it looked like.
That's exactly what it looks like when there's a fucking solar eclipse. Like, to say anything else it's ignorant. It is blatantly fucking ignorant.
It is. But again, I'm going to keep saying this for this part. It's like, but it's not dangerous. Like it's ignorance, and it makes you want to bash your head in the wall.
But I think it is dangerous, David. I think in the long run, it's dangerous. I think these type of mindsets create a type of ignorance that is dangerous. I grew up with people who had dangerous mindsets about things, and it's detrimental, and it's not good.
Yeah.
So I think that these types of this type of misinformation, this type of uneducation, if you will, is very bad for America, for anyone.
Yeah. And I guess you're right at the level that it is going on. It's bad because it doesn't allow people to see what's truth and untruth.
It's the undermining of science, is what it is. And like what some of the scientists in the Behind the Curve documentary said, the worst part is not the people who are just the believers. The problem is the people who are like the scientists who are involved in these flat earth communities.
Yeah.
Who are rolling back shit. And it's just like, why? What the fuck? And why do these people blindly have to believe? And like I said, I think this is a community thing. I think these people get involved. Did you hear the one guy? I felt sad for him. I really did. I don't mean that like I'm not like trying to have a pity party for this fucking guy, but I felt sad because they cut to this one guy, and he's like, because they're going through people and how they've lost people in their lives due to being a flat earther. And he's like, I got divorced. I don't talk to my parents anymore. Pretty much the only people that I talk to now are people who are into truth research. and I wanted to hug the guy.
Yeah. Well, and it just goes to show how, how important these sort of things become to people. I mean, there's so many other things that I coming to mind, but like people who are really invested in like 9/11 was a demolition project, or eh, the lunar landing was a hoax. All these things, but they feel so strongly that they're willing to damage their lives to continue to do what they do. I mean, that's why I give it that, sort of religious connotation where, I mean, you're willing to give up your wife, I don't know what it would take for me, but somebody who is faithful would probably say that if it's God or my wife, I'll take God. But if it's flat Earth or my wife, I'll take flat Earth. That's where I'm making that comparison.
Yeah, and it's I mean, you see this happen with Scientology. People
Yeah,
forsake their entire family for fucking Scientology.
yeah,
And this is the same type of thing that's going on.
it's a cult that that for some reason doesn't get the same treatment as other cults have in the past.
It's just not tax exempt yet.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But the other thing that with this documentary was that last experiment, that laser experiment across
Y-
the bay.
yes.
Oh my God. And listen, this is why I say they will shoot themselves in the foot until there's nothing left. No matter how much their experiment proved their theory wrong. Oh, we have to try it a different way. We have to we have to rethink the experiment. Are you fucking kidding me?
You just did the experiment, and the result was what you would expect for around Earth. Like at some point, you have to make sure that you calculate like what would the expectation for around Earth be, and what would the expectation of a flat Earth be? And if it's a round Earth result, you just have to give it to
What
it.
about a trapezoidal Earth, David? Should we what about
Dodecahedron.
the dodecahedron, the 20-sided die, if you will. Should we
Yep,
should we should we afford that as well?
probably.
I think we should. I think we should. The flat earth is it's a conundrum for me though, because it's one of those things where I can't wrap my head around the fact that there are people out there that really have true belief in this.
Yeah.
And I know that you're right there with me. Like you're one of those people, like you just don't get it.
No, it makes absolute nonsense. So what I try to do is, okay, I don't get the theory. What can I get the people? And I struggle with that as well.
Well, it's I think we ran into a lot of strange stuff with the Bigfoot community.
Oh yeah.
And I have often said that if anybody wants to do a true documentary about Bigfoot, they should do one about the Bigfoot community, the people involved. Fuck Bigfoot. Look at the people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's coming at some point. And
Oh, I hope so. I'm hoping Bobcat Goldthwait fucking goes through with that one. 'Cause
yeah.
he kind of alluded to it on one of the Joe Rogan podcasts a couple of years ago that he had gone to a Bigfoot a Bigfoot conference, and that the thing that got to him the most was the people.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping he does it because Bobcat's perfect for that. For
Yeah.
that type of a documentary.
Well, and plus, like, he's at least he's interested, like he, go to these things, probably just to feel out like, can I do it?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, think about it. There's a guy that, you know, think about Bobcat Goldthwait in the 80s. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right.
Like setting shit on fire and just doing crazy shit. Yeah, Bobcat's fucking a nut. But I'd love to see that documentary.
I would, as far many feet as I'm out of the Bigfoot community, I would still watch that if he directed.
Oh, hell's yeah, hell's yeah. Now we had alluded to the Mick West show that I had done with Richard and Steve, where we had Mick West on and we talked about the flat Earth, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. I will put the link in the description so that people can catch it if they'd like to catch the um, the different experiments that you can literally do yourself. You know, that you can try yourself. There's a few that Mick tells in detail. And I encourage people to, go out there and try them for yourself. They're very simple to do, and they can be done with household items.
Yeah, what we're saying is that you don't have to be a scientist to prove that the Earth is round.
Yeah,
you can
and
use
like and don't fall into the pitfall of believing one side of the story. Go into it with an open mind and look at the facts. And the facts are going to show you that the Earth is round. I assure you. But I also encourage you to do the experiments to see for yourself.
Yeah.
That's unlike these other people who will tell you, oh, it was flat. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do, and there's all kinds of ways we can test things.
Yeah, and you don't really need to do any of that, and just know that the physics of suspended bodies in space is to become a sphere, and just go with that.
Yeah. It's round.
Yeah.
And not a flat round. It's not a fucking tortilla. Jesus Christ, if people stop commenting on shit on my Facebook, it's making dinging noises.
Bling, bling, bling.
Yeah, fuck you guys. I'm fucking shutting that shit off now. But yeah. So I wanted to, before we jump out of the flat earth stuff, because you had talked about cults. I found this this article in the Washington Post today while I was going through my stuff. It looked like a simple domestic murder. Then police learned about the alien reptile cult.
Oh.
Yeah. So this was on the Washington Post. It was posted today, June 11th, early this morning. And a 911 call came into the dispatch center in the early hours. My boyfriend had a gun, Barbara Rogers told the operator, from a home in Coolbaugh Township, Pennsylvania, about 110 miles north of Philadelphia. He told me to hold it here and press the trigger. Oh my God, he's dead. When police arrived at the tan double-wide trailer, they found 32-year-old Stephen Minio dead from a close-range 45 bullet wound to his forehead. Rogers, Barbara, was arrested and charged with the murder. It's what seemed to be a simple domestic killing, David. Investigators soon found a bizarre backstory involving an extraterrestrial cult. You gotta love extraterrestrial cult.
I was my mind was trying to really wrap around that. So is the cult it's extraterrestrials that have joined a cult, or is it a cult about extraterrestrials? We'll never know.
We're about to find out.
Oh,
okay. So according to the Pocono Record, as her first degree murder trial began in March, she claimed in court that she had gotten into a disagreement with the leader of a cult. The couple had, who preaches a heady stew of alien conspiracy theories. apocalyptic biblical interpretation, and warnings about reptilian extraterrestrials living secretly as humans. Rogers claimed a distraught Minio had placed the gun in her hands and pulled the trigger. She said she did not know the gun was loaded. So I guess he wanted to kill himself to avoid the reptilian alien overlords.
Were they boring into his mind?
I guess so. Yeah, so what it seems like is another one of these but yeah, it come to find out that there's there's this cult. And I don't know if that's what made her kill her fucking husband, or why he wanted to kill him. Or was it her husband or a boyfriend? Boyfriend. And yeah, it's some weird shit, man. And that goes into that whole blind belief thing. Like, what the hell happens?
You know, when you say certain things aren't dangerous, well, maybe that's not what caused it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you take the flat Earth theory over reptilian aliens disguised as humans?
I'd take neither. Can I draw another straw, please?
I'll go ahead and pass on that. Pass. Yeah, that's crazy. And also, I didn't know the gun was loaded is the shittiest excuse ever, because don't point a gun at somebody's face.
Yeah, that's
unless you intend to shoot it.
It's ignorance 101. You know, I am not a gun person. I grew up around guns, though. Like, my family's very, very gun oriented, but I'm not a gun person. You know, I know enough not to fucking point a gun at somebody.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
With your finger in the trigger.
Yeah. People are fucking stupid.
Or she wanted to kill him.
Right? So then I had asked you, like, an honest liar. And this was the one that I was kind of like more excited about to talk to you about, was this one. This is someone that I had heard about, and I've done a show on the Fortean Slip about this before, but it bears repeating. I mean, I'd always heard about the amazing Randy and his like $1 million challenge for like psychics or whatever. And you know, I'd always just thought that he was a pompous skeptic in the beginning. Like, I used to be a very one of those believers, if you will, without Justin. And yeah, so I didn't see him as like a viable thing. And then a few years back, I can't remember what year it was. It was not long after it came out. I saw An Honest Liar, and I was blown away.
What a fantastic human being.
Yeah, like, here's this guy who's compared to Houdini. But here's the fucking thing, people. Houdini would say that he could get out of anything, and they say this in the documentary. But if they brought something that they thought he couldn't get out of, like, Houdini's goons would take him out back, beat the shit out of him, and you wouldn't see him again. The amazing Randy didn't have that. And he truly believed he could get out of anything. And he tried. Holy shit, did he try?
Yeah. Everything.
And he fucked himself up trying to get out of the milk can. He broke, was it 2 vertebrae in his back? 2
vertebrae, yep.
And he knew it. He knew he'd done something when he heard the crack when he was inside the milk can. And he did the only thing that could have saved his life, in that he just calmed down. Because he knew if he panicked, he was fucked. He had to calm down so he could wait until they opened it up, until they realized there was something wrong.
Yeah, and that's a long fucking time to be in there while you're in pain, trying to relax before they're going to open it, because it was something like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and he's just an amazing human being. Like, what and then he goes into mentalism, and then, like you were talking about before, he predicts the World Series.
Yeah.
And then people like start treating him like a god. Like they literally start like looking to him for advice, and he backs off. He's like,
Yeah, he
"No,
says, "Oh, no, 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 no. That's."
this is too much. I can't do this anymore."
Well,
And then,
he used to start his shows with like, "I am a liar. I am a cheat and a charlatan,
yep,
and I will entertain you for the next however long."
yep, I am going to lie to you. I am going to deceive you. He purposefully would say it because he had to. That's how much that's how much integrity the amazing Randy had or has. Is he still alive?
I don't
That's one
know.
thing I did not check. I'm gonna check it right now. We're gonna check it live. David, we're gonna find out the amazing
The
Randy.
amazing Randy.
And he is quite Randy. He is 90 years old. He is still fucking kicking.
Still alive.
Still kicking. Yeah, so I mean, the guy it blew me away. And then this crusade that he went on after all of this, after he's been a magician, he goes into mentalism. He sees the ability for these tricks to be used to deceive people and hurt people, and he dedicates his life to stopping those people.
To stopping those people.
And here's the thing that I learned. The big one that I learned. About the whole his crusade to go after these charlatans, these fakes, is that no matter what he did, he couldn't take them down.
Yeah.
And,
That
I mean, he could do little damage here and there.
Yeah, the faith healer televangelist.
Okay, so let's tell the story. Not
Yeah.
to ruin the documentary. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, and who wants to. You might want to stop. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it. It's called An Honest Liar. Come back to this podcast and you'll be fucking right as rain. So he goes after a televangelist by the name of Peter Popoff, and he is trying his damnedest to figure out how he can figure out what he's doing, how he's doing it. Well, he knows he's fucking he's pulling a trick off, but he doesn't know how.
Yeah, because he's calling out people's names and addresses and people that they're there with, and just at the front of the stage and bringing them down, and
Right.
he knows what their condition is, and so yeah,
Yeah. So
there's a lot of moving parts to try to figure out how
so
this.
he gets a guy who he winds up working with later to do some stuff. This young kid, I think his name is Steve Shaw, his real name, but he's known as Banachek now. He's a mentalist. He hires him to go work for Peter Popoff so he can try to figure out what's going on. So he finds out through him that Popoff has an earpiece, has a hearing aid. And he's like, what does a fucking faith healer need with a goddamn hearing aid?
Yeah, he did.
He's like curing
Randy said
people
that.
of fucking everything. So the plot thickens. So he hires a
Private investigator.
Private investigator. Thank you, David. I am tripping over my fucking words tonight. He hires a private investigator to find the signal, and the guy's like, "Listen, the chances of me finding the signal are pretty fucking slim." But he goes in, he turns on his little fucking scanner, and lo and behold, he gets a hit.
Pop.
And he starts hearing footsteps on the frequency. And then a door opens, and then he hears, "Oh, Petey." And it's fucking Popov's wife.
Yep.
And she's what he did was he had people fill out prayer cards as they would come in, and his wife would gather up all the prayer cards go up to this booth or wherever it was, and she would broadcast the signal to him in his hearing aid in his ear or whatever the fuck the little listening device was, and feed him all the information as he was doing it. And the amazing Randy, James Randy fucking proved he was doing this.
Yeah, but
He went bankrupt.
yeah, not only did he prove it, he proved it on late night television.
Yes, he proved it on late night television.
It's like Johnny Carson, right?
Johnny Carson. And I loved it in the documentary because he goes, yeah, and so I showed it to Johnny for the first time, and Johnny goes, oh shit, on live TV, like freaking had to stop himself. But yeah,
Then Popov files for bankruptcy.
he filed for bankruptcy, and he wound up. It hurt him, but he came back, and instead of healing people, he sells blessed water.
Yes, I'm choking on my blessed water.
Yes, yeah, but you should blessed water because it's poor shit.
I don't even remember where the blessed water was from. Oh, it was something great. Totally unbelievable.
But here's the problem, and this is where these things, they prey on people who are of the mindset, well, you don't understand because you don't believe, man.
That's true.
Believe.
It's true. I don't understand because I don't believe.
Yes, and the problem is, I have a brain, and that brain works, and it makes me think. And because I have that problem, I can't just blindly believe in shit.
Well, there's actually proof that some people's brains are just to make them move around, and that's it.
Zombies?
Yeah,
did a whole show on that. Oh, dude, did I tell you about that? The fucking ladybug zombies?
No.
Oh, I'll tell you after the show. We did a whole show on them. It's fucking crazy. Oh my god. But yeah, there's blind belief in these things, like the Uri Geller and the spoon bending, and like the fucking Long Island fucking psychic. Dear Jesus Christ, John Edwards.
Yeah, and
fuck you.
And it's all tricks, and it's all tricks that can be other people can replicate, and that's the worst part about all this is that whatever trick a psychic does to bring you to a point where you're believing what they're saying, there are 5 other people that can also do that, and none of them are psychic. It's just they all know the trick.
Yeah. So I'll pull back the curtain on my life a little bit. Not that I don't do that every fucking show I do.
Man, hey, close the windows. You got to pick up in there first.
Yeah. I used to be very into and I still hold the same type of spiritual beliefs. I don't practice. But I used to be very into ritual magic, and a big part of that was tarot cards. And at one point in time, I was reading tarot cards like a lot. It just like I was like, I can read the future. I'm amazing. Like a baby that found its penis.
I got one of those.
Yeah, no, I know. My son, dear Christ, my name's Odin. I got a penis. It's in my diaper. Want to see it? He'll hate me for saying that, but he'll laugh too. So, I used to read cards a lot, and one of the problems that I ran into was that I realized at one point you're not doing anything mystical. You are reading people. You are not reading the future. And while I believe that there are certain things that are out there, I don't believe in that type of divination. um, and when I realized that, it kind of burst my whole bubble. Like, this whole idea that I could see the future. I was like, "Oh,
Oh, you mean I can't? I didn't see that coming.
wait a minute, shit." Because when you realize that you're not reading these mystical cards, you're reading the people and their reactions to the cards and how that, affects them. It's a much different, it's a much different thing in your brain,
Yeah.
and so I had to process it, and I was just like, "Oh, fuck me. Like, this isn't what I thought it was." And so I had to rethink the whole idea, and this kind of goes in the whole idea of belief structures and what people believe. And I think a lot of these new age religions do this, where pro- they they make these wild, uh what's the word I'm looking for, David? Throw it at me.
Wild sex.
No.
Oh,
They throw wild sex at you and just say, "Do this." No, they throw out these wild, uh, ah, uh, uh,
claims
claims. Yes, these wild
There we go.
claims. Thank you. Why can't I talk tonight?
From the back.
They throw out these wild claims of things that you can do, by, believing in these things, and, they get people. That's how they hook people.
Yeah, and then they sell them crystals and
Yeah, they sell them
other
crystals,
things.
and I've often said that these practices are great. If you want to live a good, structured spiritual life, go down one of those paths. It'll be a beautiful thing for you. You'll have fun. It'll
Yeah,
be
just make
wonderful.
sure it's the right one for you. Don't just stop and
Yeah,
don't settle for your
yeah,
spirituality.
fucking find the right thing for you. Do your thing.
Yeah, get like after high
But a
school,
lot of
college.
it you have to admit, and I think you will admit with me, that a lot of it is fucking propaganda.
Yes, or it's meant to sell you something.
Yeah, and therein goes back to that thing that we're talking about tonight, that blind fucking belief. I read tarot cards, so I read the future. I cast the runes, David.
The runes.
David, I throw the bones. Let me finish this tea and I'll read your fucking leaves.
Yeah, but those sort of things are I don't know. They're not harmful in any way. You may be getting duped and people are selling stuff to you, but we we all have a Coca-Cola now and again, and that's somebody's trying to sell that to us too. Um, but I
Something, not to cut you off, man, but I'm beginning to be more and more of the school of, you know what? If you get duped by these fucking people, it's your own fucking fault.
yeah, I'm definitely there with a lot of that, except for the situation that I have to bring up, um, and this is a blind faith, like bad science, bad everything, is the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah,
They're causing there to be a dangerous situation in
absolutely.
many places in the world.
And David, listen, I'm your cheerleader. I'm on board.
Yeah, there's been several cases of measles, like nearby my house, because it was something like in Washington State, there's like 25 or 30% of people looking for vaccination waivers for elementary school. I'm like, fuck that. So yeah, I get my kid vaccinated. He's all up. He doesn't need any more shots till he's going into, high school or whatever. But the kid goes and has the measles at school, and then my son brings it back to my 1-year-old. Fuck that.
Yeah, and
You know,
that's a big problem.
but this is a belief structure that's actually hurting people. It's actually killed people.
Mhm.
And it's all a wild conspiracy theory. It's it's absolutely
Now, and let's not. I mean, I'm not trying to conflagrate or I don't know if that's even the right word I wanted to use, but or dismiss the facts. It does kill people. The rates are not insanely large, but they're large enough that we should be fucking taking heed.
well, and they're not large now. The anti-vax movement has only really gotten steam recently, and from the 90s, like I don't know, I'm not gonna be able to pull numbers out of my ass.
Right.
And you know what I always talking to people is like, hey, you remember that time you got polio? Yeah, me neither. Like, just
Yeah,
it's
just fucking get your shots.
when we have a resurgence of polio, you know, they've wiped it out. They've wiped this out, wiped that out. You know, there's
Mhm.
no reason for there's no reason for what they're doing now for kids going into high school is like they're all getting HPV shots because HPV is everywhere. And I mean more men and women than not in a lot of areas. But
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, they want to get rid of HPV, which will get rid of certain types of cervical cancer, then which will, you know, like I don't get it. And I don't get how people can believe. I can get how people believe the Earth is flat as a fun hobby, but you don't fuck with the health of your children and the health of other people.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about the other day about the chicken pox parties.
Yeah,
Like that shit used to happen. Like,
that was a real thing. That's how I got chicken pox. I
that's how I
didn't.
get chicken pox.
That's not that's not something that we do anymore because there's a vaccine for it, and that vaccine probably only causes certain types of autism.
Yeah.
Yeah, no types of autism. There was one study that one guy did, and he probably published it in like a pay to play, like fucking made his own journal to publish it in, which the gentleman later, not very like I don't remember how long this was ago. Like it was just a few years after, and seeing the anti-vax movement come up, he there were many other studies came out that debunked his. He retracted his paper and apologized, and asked people to believe the other studies because his study was not done correctly. And now we've got a bunch of kids with measles because of it.
And like I had said to you, like what the problem with this whole idea of not vaccinating your kids. Okay, so now they're getting measles, and now measles is like a thing again. And measles has the ability to mutate and change. And then the vaccinations don't work anymore for those of us who would like to be fucking vaccinated.
Exactly, and then they have to come up with a whole new set of vaccines, which takes years to administer. It's just, I don't know. I like of all the conspiracy theories that are out there, and this one is just it's deplorable. It puts people in danger. It puts kids in danger, and it's all because people want to believe something that's bigger, like they want to believe something that they've been lied to and now they've seen the light, kind of a thing.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and so it's this that is the same as, you know, as flat earth theories or like other whatever other conspiracy theories there are out there, but it is actually a conspiracy theory, and they're talking about an anti-vax movement. Like, no, it's a conspiracy theory. They think that that we are purposefully injecting our children with drugs that are not safe for them, and that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And it is not a movement. It's not.
When you start going down the road, like if you start rationally thinking about it, like all the people and all the cogs in this machine that would have to be in on this, like really, we're all just like really just giving our kids fucking autism. Like that's what we're doing. You think that's the end result, you dumb fucks?
And big pharma, it's big pharma because all they care about is selling that vaccine. We got to give it to every single child.
Get your kids vaccinated. You know, like David said, you remember that time you got polio? No, you don't. You don't fucking remember that. And there are other things that they will fucking wipe out. Like, the only problem now is it's like cost-effective shit. We need a good disease scare to get the fucking big pharma back in line.
Yeah. Just wipe out like a third of the planet.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, whoa, 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 wait a minute, we better do our job again."
Get back in there.
You know, because there's things that, like, why haven't we wiped this shit out? Like, because like you know, they came together and wiped out shit like polio, and they figured that shit out, but they don't anymore. Not to the same degree.
Yeah, which is interesting, and they have in a lot of cases gotten rid of things in entire areas, but yeah, just
I just wonder, you know, personally, there are some things it's like, why haven't they tried to eliminate this or get rid of it? Like, why do they just keep, you know, I know there's certain things that they can never do it, but there's other things where it's like, why? You know,
it's
and
like
I know they're on the verge pretty much at this point. They can like say that they can get rid of HIV.
yeah, I'm always thinking that it's like a list of priorities, and like, yeah, we'll get to HIV when we get to it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not too worried about the STDs. I mean, and they should be. Because again, these are things that could change. They could mutate and change, and then it's a whole different fucking ball game.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, with something like, you know, HIV, and then they're getting closer to treatments. It seems like focusing on protection against that would be the better way to go. But who knows? Things
I
things are
don't fucking know.
things are complicated.
Life is complicated, David.
My life's not complicated. I just have the brain that moves me around.
Yeah. No, life is fucking complicated, dude. I don't care who you are. I don't care who the fuck you are on this planet. Life is hard. Everybody's got their own little thing that they got to do and their own bullshit baggage that they carry with them. Life is hard.
Indeed.
You know, I think that a lot of this stuff, when it comes to blind belief, it comforts people. I don't understand why. I don't understand why they have to go to that blind belief is comforting, but it is. And I think it can hurt people. I think in the end, it can hurt some people.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're willing to give up on reason, people can take advantage of you. Or you can do things that may damage your family or your health.
Yes.
But it's giving up to the idea is what causes it all. And once you give up to the idea, and that you're absolutely right, which is never the case in my case, then yeah, I mean, you can make some big fucking mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can drink the Kool-Aid.
You can drink the fucking Kool-Aid. And you can drink it anytime. Anytime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to drink the Kool-Aid, though.
Grape?
The one where you mash up the mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Kool-Aid. That is actually a serious thing. I have been toying with the idea now for, it's been quite a few months now, with doing a mushroom trip. And I think I'm fucking ready. I think it's about time. I think it should go down.
Hopefully you go up.
Well, yeah, you generally do. I will never forget one of the times I was doing mushrooms. I was with my buddy Greg and another friend of ours, Mike. And we were out in my buddy Greg, his father owned a a salvage yard, and they lived in a pit, an old pit. And we would go out into one of the pits, and we would set up like lawn chairs, and then we'd party out there. Well, one night we were doing mushrooms, and fucking all ate our mushrooms, was sitting there drinking beers. And one of the few times I drank beer, because as I've told you, I'm not a big fan. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking up at the sky, and mushrooms are starting to kick in out of nowhere, just out of fucking nowhere. I vomit. No warning, none of that like precursor shit. None of like the fucking in your mouth shit. You know what I'm talking about? Nothing. Just instant vomit. I fucking literally just, my arms go out to my sides to get the bottle out of the way, and I fucking heave between my legs. And I literally, the mushrooms had kicked in at that point. I literally feel like my entire body has gone down into the ground with my puke. Like that's physically how it felt. I get done. I come to in my fucking brain. I look up. So I look up and I sit up at the same time. And my buddy Greg, I look over at him and he says, "You going right back up?" And I fucking, dude, I swear it was like somebody fucking shot me to fucking Alpha Centauri. Like it is the only time in my life that I ever vomited on mushrooms. And I had the most galactic fucking trip that night that I have ever had. And I think I'm ready for one. Because here's the thing. I don't look at psychedelic experiences anymore in the same way. When I was younger, I looked at them as a way to party. Let's do some mushrooms. Let's party. Let's do some mushrooms. Let's have some mushrooms. Now I look at it like, let's do some mushrooms and we'll reflect on the experience for about 5 years. Because that's what you should do.
That's how it should go.
And yeah, I think it's I think I'm getting ready to get into that mindset again. I think it's a good time. It's been a really long time for me. The last time didn't quite pan out the way I wanted it. And I think I am ready.
It's always disappointing.
No, I would not say that. I've had a lot of really really enlightening experiences on mushrooms. My old roommate and I used to call it talking to God.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be like, let's get a quarter ounce of mushrooms and talk to God. But mushrooms they're a very self-introspective drug, and you have to be a certain type of an individual to take them. I think personally, there's certain types of people that shouldn't.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know, there's certain people that should be like, yeah, no, I'll pass on that. And I will wholeheartedly agree with them. Yeah, no, you don't need this experience.
Yeah.
This
You're
is
not ready.
This is one that can pass you by. But I think that these experiences, these mind altering experiences, are important for people. Like, I think psychedelic experiences are a good way to look at yourself and make change. You know, positive change, good change that sticks. I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because it strips you bare. I mean, I've had trips where it literally strips everything. It strips your ego right out of your body, out of your brain.
Yeah, and you only get to see what there actually is.
Yeah. And for some people that's very frightening. Very frightening. But this goes back to this whole thing about what we were talking about tonight. About being in these comforting little groups. These little tribes. With our little leaders. Goes back to the whole tribal thing I've been talking about on the show lately. That we're all in these little tribes, David.
It's true.
We just need our little comfort, our little fucking blanket, our little binky.
DD.
But yeah, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for another one. That'll be good.
Just bring your binky.
I'm gonna bring my binky, man. I bring it all, dude. Oh my god, I used to have a friend who had drumsticks, and he would take white rags and tie them to the end of the drumsticks, and he would fucking swing those things around while we were all tripping. Let me tell you, that was fun. We used to have another friend that we used to con into driving us around when we were tripping out. That was fun. That was some fun shit back in the day. But again, like I said, I had the wrong viewpoint on psychedelics back then, and I should have had a different one, and I do now, and I'm glad that I do now, because I'm gonna do it completely different. I'm going to, have a totally different experience. So,
good luck.
I don't.
Godspeed.
I don't need any fuck. Godspeed is right. Godspeed, David. Godspeed. On that note, David, let's fucking wrap this shit up. Let's do it.
Get out of here.
This has been Down the Rabbit Hole, episode 8. What is it? What I name this fucking thing this time, David? Oh, hold on. Faith healers, charlatans, and blind belief. Uri Geller stuck a spoon in my asshole. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Check out Fortean Slip. The actual show. It's been fun lately. We've gone really long lately, David.
Long.
2 hour long shows. Like, consistently. It's and what's been great about it, the conversations have not been getting stale at all.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, we've been rocking it right out to the fucking bitter end. And there was one night we literally could have kept going. And we had gotten started so late. It was 2 weeks ago. We had gotten started so late because I got held up that I just couldn't let it go any later. We started at like 8 o'clock or so, and it was like 10 something. And I'm like, yeah, we got down this show now.
Dude, I gotta call it.
Yeah, we fucking been going for too long. I get pissed. But check out our good friend Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. He's been doing some cool shit lately. Check out Matt Knapp, our good friend, at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads and Cryptid Tales. I don't know what we're going to be doing this coming week on the Fortean Slip, but if you are still listening tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to announce something very special. Very, very special. We're going to do a contest. Much like The Apprentice. Only this contest is going to be called The Producer, in which I will choose. We haven't decided how the choice will be made or how the contest will play out, but someone will be chosen to be the new Fortean Slip producer. Details to be announced. David, do you have anything? No, you don't have anything.
You're fired.
You got like spit up in fucking diapers, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Why do you think I come fucking hang out with you?
All right. Everybody have a good week. See you.